graders, Miss D'Orio here from Citizenship Academy with your ELA lesson for today. So today we're going to review a part of speech of verbs. Now remember, parts of speech are important because they help us with our reading and our writing. We want to make sure our sentences have all of our parts of speech, and it's helpful when we're reading to identify the parts of speech so that we kind of know what's happening, right? So today we're going to talk specifically about verbs. I want you to pause the video, talk to someone at home about what you remember about verbs. Good. Okay, so we've learned about two different types of verbs. We learned about action verbs and we've learned about to be verbs. I want to start with action verbs. Can you give me an example of an action verb? Good, yeah. Running, skipping, jumping, playing, all of those, walking, all of those are action verbs. They're verbs that you do. We've also learned about to be verbs. Do you remember what to be verbs are? If you do, can you give me an example? Good. To be verbs show how we are, show how someone is. So I have a list here of a couple of our to be verbs. We have are, am, is, was, were, been, being. They tell how someone is, they show how we are. Like we are happy, he is sad, tells how someone is. Those are our to be verbs. So today, to review our verbs, we're going to play a little game. If you have someone at home to play with, come grab them, come over to the video so we can play. If you don't have anybody at home to play with right now, that's all right, you can just play with me. What I'm going to do in a second is I'm going to show you a sentence or a statement on the screen. I'm going to give you about a minute to read it. And then when I snap my fingers, you need to tell me the verb. It'll either be an action verb or a to be verb. So I'm going to snap my fingers, you're going to tell me the verb. If you're playing with someone at home, the person who says the verb first wins, gets a point. If you're playing against me, see if you can say it faster than me, and then you'll get the point. So this is how it's going to work. Statement or sentence, you read it. I'm going to snap my fingers. Don't say the verb till I snap my fingers. If you're playing at home, the first person to say the verb gets a point. If you're playing against me, if you say it before me, you get a point. And the person with the most points at the end wins. All right, let's try it. Let me bring up our verb. All right, here, cheated a little bit. Here's the sentence. I'll give you a minute to read it. It says, make an exception. What's the verb? Make. Who got the point? Good job. That's the next one. Go ahead and read it on your own. Remember, if I'm not giving you enough time to read it, go ahead and pause the video. Take as much time as you need. That says, give a generous portion. What's the verb? Give. Good job. Who got the point? Me or you? You or your friend? All right. Here's a question for you. What's the verb? Question is, what is all the commotion about? Hint, hint, it's a to be verb. The verb is? Did you get that? Good. Try the next one. Meet at the train station. The verb is? Meet. Very good. Who got the point? Good job. Try this one. It says, pay your taxes. The verb is? Pay. Very good. We're paying, action verb. Awesome. Try this one. Nice sentence here. Remember, pause if you need more time. that says the key is in the ignition. It's a to be verb. What's the verb? Is. Very good. It's telling us where the key is. It's telling us how the key is. It's in the ignition. Awesome. Try this one. I have a connection to this one sometimes. It says, I ate a huge portion. What is the verb? It's a past tense verb. It is ate. Very good. Who's winning? Who has more points? Try this one. Another to be verb. I have a cold. The verb is have. Awesome job. Try this one. It says, she wrote a letter. Another past tense verb. Talked about those earlier this week. She wrote a letter. The verb is wrote. Very good. Who got the point? All right. Question. What are the options? Another to be verb. What's the verb? Are. Very good. All right, last one. He is the apple of my eye. And the verb is. Woohoo! All right, who won? If you were playing against me, did you beat me? Probably. If you were playing against someone at home, did you beat them? Hope so. All right. So now that we've gone over what verbs are and our different types of verbs, I want to talk about how verbs can be in different tenses, meaning they can say whether something is happening now, in the past, or in the future. So now, present, past is yesterday or a couple days ago or a while ago, or future. Something's happening in the future. So today we're just going to focus on past and present. So if we want to change a verb from the present to the past, saying we did it yesterday or saying we did it 2 weeks ago, we have to add a suffix. We have to add something on the end of most verbs. Not all verbs, but most verbs. Do you know what that suffix is? What those letters are that we have to add on the end? Going to add ed at the end. So when we add ed at the end of a verb, we change the verb from present to past. We send it into the past. So ed at the end of a verb can either sound like ed, can sound like t, or can sound like d. So when you read it at the end of a word, you're going to have to try it out. It's either going to be ed, d, or t. But what I want you to know, what I want you to focus on is that ed at the end of a verb is going to send the verb into the past. So I'm going to play you a little video to kind of go over that past tense idea of adding ed and sending the verb into the past.
To his friends, Ed is just a normal, everyday kind of letter.
Hi there, Ed.
Hello, my friend.
Hi there, Ed.
Hello, my friend.
Hi there, Ed.
Hello, my friend. But what they don't know is that Ed is a time traveler. All that Ed needs to travel into the past is a word. But not just any word. It has to be a word that does something. You see, only a word that does an action can be used by Ed to travel back in time. These words are called verbs. Here is a word that is a verb. Happen. I wonder what's going to happen now. Happened. It has happened. Ed jumped onto the end and the verb changed. The word has traveled into the past. Here are more words that are verbs. Ed will send them into the past. Look. Looked. Play. Played. Want. Wanted. Work. Worked. Ed worked hard today. Or was it yesterday? If you need to send a verb into the past, remember to use ed, ed, on the end of the word.
Yeah. All right, let me pause this. So, we talked about earlier, I don't want that to play again. Earlier in the week, the irregular verbs. Sometimes irregular verbs sound, we don't want to play. No. Sometimes irregular verbs, they're different when they send them into past. However, most verbs are going to have that ed ending. Now, as you probably noticed in that video, and as I said before, the ed ending can have 3 different sounds. It can sound like ed. Go ahead and make that sound. Ed. T, like a t, or d. It can have those 3 different sounds. So we're going to practice that with this worksheet today. So in Google Classroom, you're going to see this worksheet. It's called Past Tense Ending ed. What you're going to need to do is change all of these verbs into the past tense. So this first set of verbs right here, the ed at the end is going to sound like ed. So you're going to type in the present tense verb and then add the ed at the end to make it turn from start to send it into the past to turn it into started. Same thing with this one. You're going to change I want to I wanted. Okay? Now if you come down here, this set of verbs, it's helping you out a little bit. This set of verbs, the ending is going to make the ed at the end is going to make the d sound. Don't get tricked. You're not just going to add a d. You're going to have to add the ed. So you're going to change I call to I called. Still has the ed past tense marker ending. It just sounds a little different. And then this last set, the ed at the end is going to sound like t. Again, still need to write the ed, but it's going to sound like a t. So you're going to change we ask. You're going to send it into the past, and you're going to write we asked. If I could spell it right, asked. Even though it makes the t sound, you still have to have the ed past tense marker. Right there. Okay? There's about 6 of them for each different sound. Again, they all have the ed ending. They all have the past tense marker. They just sound different. So while you're working through it, read the different words, test out the different ending sounds, and try and see if there's a pattern you can notice. If you have any questions, let me know. You're just changing verbs from the present tense to the past by adding that ed marker. Have fun, good luck, and I'll see you tomorrow.